Hello and welcome back to another edition of the True Crime and Wine Couple. We will be discussing the CW show about the Delphi murders that we watched last night, all 2 hours of it. So you don't have to. We watch it so you don't have to. But first, let's talk about the wine real quick.
There you go. So this is a dry Riesling. You'll notice that we did drink this in another video as well.
We hope you're watching both, so.
Yeah, but it is a dry Riesling from Montezuma Winery up in the Finger Lakes. Very good, and we'll get into that a little bit at the end of the video. But to get us started off, like Mary said, we did watch that show. We didn't even know about it. We had posted that video about Delphi a little while ago, and then somebody commented that, oh, they're doing a Crime Nation on the CW. Actually, is it Banfield or Bainfield?
Ashley Banfield.
Banfield
and
Brian Enton were doing a expose on the Delphi murders. Okay, so we watched it, and like Mary said, it was 2 hours long. With commercials. Yeah, with commercials.
You can't skip the commercials on the CW the way we have it.
Yeah, the way we watched it, we couldn't skip the commercials, unfortunately. And my takeaway from the whole show was, well, first of all, what was good about it was I liked the time, the way they just sort of laid everything out from the very beginning, and they sort of took it from February 13th, and they took it all the way up to, I think they ended it right, I don't think they got into the lawyers being...
You're so hot when you know the Delphi dates. Heat appreciation moment.
So they really only took it up to about when Richard Allen was arrested and got into a little bit of that. But what was interesting was, and it wasn't what I was expecting, the narrative to this whole show really seemed to be, you got the wrong guy. Mm-hmm. There was only and they had a ton of podcasters, a ton of YouTube creators. They had a forensic psychologist. They had this.
I'm going to put out the disclaimer here. We have not decided. He thinks he's decided, but now he's changed his mind. We support both narratives. We support Richard Allen could be guilty. Richard Allen could be innocent. There could be more players. There could not be more players. It could be Odinus. It could not be Odinus. There's a lot of corruption in Carroll County. There's not a lot of corruption in Carroll County. We don't know. So we support all narratives. And if you have information, send it, please. So go ahead.
And we are trying to verify whatever we can find. And there's not a lot of verifiable evidence out there. There really isn't. But as I was saying, they had a forensic psychologist. They had a prosecutor. It wasn't Nick McClelland, obviously. It was some guy that looked like he was straight out of Goodfellas.
Yeah, we said extra on The Sopranos.
Yeah,
maybe main character on The Sopranos.
Maybe, yeah. If I was a defendant, I would not want him as my prosecutor. He just scared the hell out of me.
He looked like he didn't play.
No, he did not play around at all. But what was really amazing was that every one of them really pushed away from Richard Allen, which I found amazing. There was one gentleman, one YouTuber who is 1,000% convinced that it's Richard Allen.
And he was on the show, so we could say his name, Gray Hughes.
Gray Hughes, yep. He was the only one that was really convinced. All the other ones, they're just not. And I think that, for me anyway, the forensic psychologist, I think, put it the best. Because she had laid out, well, I'll get into her a little bit later. Let me start at the beginning. They really seem to focus in on Ron Logan from this show. I'm going to say the show focused in on Ron.
Well,
Ron
yeah,
Logan.
they had the interview with his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, which take that for what it will.
Yeah, I don't know
She has a huge axe to grind. I mean, obviously she was put through hell. I'm not contesting that even a little bit. I believe what she's saying, an aspect of that. But Ron Logan's dead, and she had an axe to grind. She was put through hell by that man. She was beaten. She was used
From
as a
her,
sex
from
slave.
her
She
own,
was
ac-
just...
from her own account, though, we don't know. You can't say that definitively.
No, you can't. But I mean,
We will never victim blame.
No.
You know, but that is her account.
and if her account is accurate, she did have a huge axe to grind.
And he did go to prison, so she was probably onto something.
But he went,
Outstanding warrants, right?
He went to prison on a parole violation.
On a parole violation. But he was on parole in the first place.
For drunk driving.
Well, but still,
So-
a criminal's a criminal.
A criminal's a criminal, but I mean, it wasn't that he was in jail for child pornography.
This is true.
Or any sort of
He's
violent
not doing
act.
the Ken Klein. Yeah,
So
right.
they really zeroed in on him in the beginning, going through everything, and they made a really good case. I mean, if you didn't know anything else about it, and you just listened to, okay, this is what we have against Ron Logan. Number one, he does resemble Bridge Guy, but then probably 90% of the people, of the men of that age group in Delphi, Indiana, resemble Bridge Guy.
If we were teleported to Delphi, Indiana
I
right
would
now,
resemble Bridge Guy.
we could probably find 50 dudes to 100 dudes. Of the only 1,200 in the town dressed like Bridge Guy.
Yeah,
Probably 500 dudes dressed like
Carhartt jacket and blue jeans. That's what they wear. That's what they wear around here. So I mean, our fashion sense here in Pennsylvania is probably very
True.
similar.
True that, yeah.
So, but he did resemble Bridge Guy. Then they had that interview with her. She actually did call the tip line and said, that Ron Logan, that's him. That's him. That's his voice. That's definitely him.
She's convinced.
She was convinced. So they did interview Ron Logan. They executed a search warrant on his property. Now this wasn't right. This was sometime after the murder, so if there was any evidence, he had plenty of time to get rid of it. But what I found interesting was that the one thing, and I did know about this, but his alibi just didn't stand up. He used a relative, I forget if it was a cousin or a nephew or somebody,
Yes.
as an alibi, saying that they drove to, I think it was Lafayette, Indiana, to buy tropical fish. Well, his alibi is like, no, we didn't do that. So his alibi totally fell through.
He looks like a big tropical fish aficionado,
Yeah,
doesn't he,
he-
too?
yeah,
I
he
was
looks-
like,
yeah.
tropical fish? Not that I'm stereotyping, but I know.
Yeah, he does not look like he did not look like a tropical fish kind of guy. So
Maybe
that
a
was
koi
his
pond type of guy.
yeah. So that was his alibi. It didn't stand up, but they never really took it any further than that, which I found interesting. They just sort of stopped. Okay, there's nothing in the house. All right, we're done. Nothing to see here. Now, there is some speculation that not long, and I think right after that is when he was arrested for his parole violation. So they had him in jail. They had him contained. So there is speculation that they were continuing the investigation, knowing that he was out of the public. He was in jail. They knew where he was. So they were continuing their investigation into him, and just weren't able to find anything. So that's what's the speculation. Now, the one other thing about Ron Logan, though, is they did a side-by-side video of the video of Bridge Guy walking, and then they had a video of Ron Logan walking. And I'll tell you what, the gait looked exactly the same.
And that is what the ex-girlfriend said, too.
That's what
That
the
the
ex-girlfriend.
gait was the same.
Yeah. And the way his stomach protruded under the jacket, it all looked very similar. But again, it's amazing to me that with the technology that we have, we cannot clean up that photograph and get a positive ID on that face.
Well, we don't know if they will for court. That remains to be seen.
Maybe they will. I hope they do. I hope they have some. I hope they have something. Because as of right now, I don't know what the heck they have.
What I liked about it was a lot of speculation. My favorite part was in the beginning where they actually talked about Abby and Libby in life. And they are the ones who are lost in all of this. All this infighting, all this craziness, all this finger pointing and filings, and we forgot about them. And and they had, classmates of theirs talking about, how sweet they were, how smart Libby was, how athletic Abby was. They just seemed like, the all-American girls, and that's just heartbreaking to me. And they were so young. I mean, they were in middle school. They were, they weren't even. It's so tragic with the Koberger murders, or the Koberger case, I should say, the Idaho student murders. Like they were kids in college, and that was devastating. But these girls were in middle school. They were children. You know what I mean? So I liked that, and I'm going to ask a couple questions about the show. Number one, I come to find out, I believe it was the Daily Mail, which they're not the
Woodward and Bernstein.
the epitome of cutting edge, hard hitting journalism. They reported that there is DNA. And also, I heard this on Crime Talk last night with Scott Reich, and then we just got a comment on our video that they do have DNA from Richard Allen's cat. Now, they claim that a neighbor witnessed them digging up his cat, and that there was a hair DNA match on the victims. Now, okay, number one, I don't know when his cat died. I don't know if this is true. I don't know, if the neighbor is legit who reported this. And also, if the cat's body was decomposing, wouldn't the fur have decomposed first, I would think? I don't know.
No, because
the fur decomposes late?
It never decomposes.
Fur?
I don't think so. When they dig up mummies,
the hair?
Some of them still have hair.
Oh, okay.
So right. I don't think hair decomposes.
I'll have to learn that, because teaching
forensics, I could be wrong, but
being
I
a forensics
don't think
teacher,
so.
Yeah, we haven't talked about hair decomposition yet. We haven't gotten to that yet. We're only
Just
on
remembering
drugs.
that back from my anthropology.
Well, yeah, that's true though. Yeah, with mummification, the hair stays, right?
Yeah.
Or even with the shrunken heads.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hair will stay. So that's my question.
Well, yeah, in Indiana Jones, all the shrunken heads all had hair.
Has this been confirmed? Like I said, the Daily Mail reported it. Another question I have is, everyone talks about the confessions. Okay, I know he confessed. I know he confessed multiple times to different people. To me, in the conditions he's in, if you look at him, I don't know how that's going to do in court. But everybody says, oh, he confessed. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people say, oh, he confessed. Oh, well, I don't know what I'd be doing if I was under the conditions. I mean, if you lost 80 pounds.
Yeah, and the prosecutor, the Sopranos prosecutor even said that with the conditions, his mental state, and all of the other things, these confessions probably will not hold up. That's his opinion, but he's a prosecutor. He looks scary, so I'm going to believe him.
And here's my third question. If they truly don't want this solved because they're trying to cover this up, why go with Richard Allen? Why not just pin it on Ron Logan? He's gone. This could go away. So why, if we want this to go away, and there is all this corruption, and there is all these filings, and everybody's saying that Richard Allen's the patsy and this, that, and the other thing, and they don't want this solved, and they're trying to cover something up, why wouldn't you just blame it on Ron Logan?
Well, you know me, I'm all about a good conspiracy theory.
I know you are.
I love me some conspiracies. But what has always bothered me about the conspiracy theories in this particular case is, okay, so let's say that there is a conspiracy to railroad Richard Allen, that the Franks memorandum is accurate in the sense that Odinists were actually responsible for this, and law enforcement was also in on it. So first of all, that would be the best way to go. Just pin it on a guy that's dead. Then there would be no, that would be it. That would be the end of it. But if you are going to do a conspiracy, and you're in charge of the conspiracy, why are you going to draw attention to yourself? So why are you going to put Richard? So if you're an Odinist and you're part of this group, why are you going to put him in with Odinists who are wearing the patches, getting the tattoos on their faces, bringing attention to yourself? If you're part of a conspiracy, you don't want attention to yourself. You want attention elsewhere. And this case has been, the focus has been on law enforcement all along.
But maybe the Odinists want this attention to their cause. Maybe this is part of them drawing, you know what I mean? Maybe it's like, the Super Bowl Jesus washing the feet commercial.
You don't want this kind of publicity. So that's always bothered.
You're not an Odinist.
Well, I know, but I don't think you would. So that's always bothered me about the conspiracy theory is if you were going to have a conspiracy, I could think of 15 different ways to do it better than the way they did. Now maybe it's a conspiracy, maybe they are really incompetent and they're just stupid and they're just bungling it from start to finish. That's always possible too.
Well, I have a resolution. I'm only asking questions about Delphi from now on. Because I am so flabbergasted by all this information and all this speculation and all this craziness that if someone listening has the answer to those questions I threw out there, hit us up.
Now, one other thing I did want to say about the prosecutor that they had interviewed, because I thought he made a really good point.
Okay.
They want to see like these confessions. They want to see them in context. They want to get out there and hear them. And Nick, the way he explained it was Nick McClelland was like, I would love to get him out there, but the judge has a gag order on us. We can't do anything. And then the prosecutor pointed out, the only reason the judge has a gag order is because you requested it. So what's going on there? So it's just there's so everything just goes in a circle and you just get dizzy trying to follow.
But that's another question. Good.
Yeah.
If anybody listening has that information, I was excited to see Yellow Jacket on there, and the guy from The Unraveling. Mm-hmm. I know that they have they stage protests at the courthouse and stuff in Delphi, so I was happy to see them on there. I know they're all over Reddit. I know, well, Yellow Jacket's all over Reddit.
Then they had a couple community activists on there that were trying to help solve the case, and the one just got...
Oh, that creepy lady, that catfish Kagan Klein, ew.
Yeah, so what she tried to do was catfish Kagan Klein. So she was messaging him in jail, doing video conferencing with him in jail. Ooh, do you want to see me in the pool?
Yeah, like spicy,
and half naked and just trying to get information. And I just thought that was the most over-the-top, ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, I'm all for the cause, but to be thrown yourself in
it was
Kagan Klein, ugh.
And she was an older woman.
Nothing wrong with that, so much.
Nothing wrong with that, but Kagan Klein likes to go the other way.
Apparently, yeah.
He likes him younger, not older.
Well, he was in a relationship with a woman his own age, and I mean, he was with, he did have.
Well, this woman was old enough to be his mother.
Well, I know. I know.
So yeah, that was kind of weird.
And as somebody probably in that age range myself, although she probably looked older than she really was, maybe. I just can't even imagine stooping that low as a middle-aged woman.
When I saw her, I'm like, this is just really.
I mean, great
creepy,
for her.
Creepy and uncomfortable. I was a little disturbed by that. But like I said, the whole tone of the show was they don't have the right guy, which I thought was interesting, and it seems like over the past few weeks, the narrative has changed up until the past few weeks, and we could trace it back to a couple different causes of this, but it was always Richard Allen was the guy. Wait to get the evidence. He's bridge guy. Whatever, and then all of a sudden. It shifted to where, okay, we don't have the right guy.
Well, Court TV definitely was Richard Allen's the guy. Yeah. I think that the Ashley Banfield network was they were a little more middle of the road, I think, but yeah, Court TV definitely had the narrative. In fact, they always had the murder sheet on. They were always, then they did have Bob Mata on, but they had Bob Mata on, who is, from Defense Diaries, who is all about being a defense lawyer, and he believes that they have the wrong guy, but they put him on
Bob
the murder sheet.
All the way on one side, the murder sheet.
So that's what they do. But now, with Barbara McDonald and then Libredo and that.
Yeah.
So first Court TV changed the narrative. So we don't know if it's because Court TV changed the
Or
narrative.
the anniversary.
We don't know if it's the anniversary or now with the CW coming up too, because the CW is all over Twitter. Like Brian Enton is like the king of Twitter, right? Well, X, formerly known as Twitter.
Formerly known as
I'll
Twitter,
never,
yes.
yeah, I'll always call it Twitter. I think everyone always will.
Yeah, they will.
You know, so.
Yeah, Elon Musk needs to get over himself.
And we probably won't be doing Delphi for a while unless something major breaks open, right? Because it's kind of silly for us to ask any more questions. Like, we have no idea, you know?
Yeah, we really don't know, and
it's so controversial.
And there's so many rabbit holes, and so many theories, and just so much. And now with all this infighting between the attorneys and all these motions being filed, them going back and forth, it's just getting really monotonous, and there just doesn't seem to be any end in sight. Supposedly they're going to be having a trial in September. They keep it up at this. I don't know if they're going to make it till then. I don't know that they'll be able to do it then, because they're not doing anything other than filing motions against each other at this point. And it's getting a little ridiculous.
I just wish they would do this on the up and up. Those girls deserve that. Those girls mattered. They were loved. They had families. They had friends. They had hopes. They had dreams. And
that was a nice part of the video. They really,
yeah. I was like almost in tears, because all we know of them are pictures. We don't know.
And they spent a lot of time on that.
Yeah, and their former classmates, like they really, they got emotional.
Well, the one kid had to move. He just couldn't be in that town anymore. So I guess this happened when they were what, 8th grade, 7th, 8th grade?
I think they were
8th grade, and by the time this kid got to be a sophomore, they had to move out of town. He just couldn't take living there anymore. So yeah, this kid had to move because he was afraid. He was looking over his shoulder. He's used to living in a nice small town where everybody knew each other. They didn't have these issues, and they did a good job in getting into the town itself, describing the way of life. Everybody knows everybody. Mary brought up a good point that. And I don't know if you saw this somewhere else, if this is just something you came up with, but these pictures of Bridge Guy were all over the place, including in the CVS where Richard Allen worked.
Multiple people brought that up, and I thought it too. Yeah.
So this picture is hanging next to Richard Allen for years and years and years, and nobody said, that guy looks like that guy.
Yeah, what's up? He developed my pictures at the CVS, Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. I am going to try to find evidence against Richard Allen. That's my next goal.
Okay.
Because I told Mary, I said we should do a video on all the evidence that we have against Richard Allen. But I asked her, I said, we're not going to be able to drink wine for that. I'm going to have to get us like we have to do a shot of whiskey, because it's only going to take about 50 seconds. There's so much not evidence.
Maybe that would be a good dude bro video
That would
for
be
you
a
to
good
do by yourself. You can go through the PCA again and all the stuff against
drink some whiskey. Yeah. So I don't know, but it was interesting. It was well produced. They had a lot of different people involved. They had a lot of interviews. But like I said, the whole tone from start to finish, except for that one guy, was you have the wrong guy.
Except for Gray Hughes.
Now, getting back to the forensic psychologist I had mentioned earlier, she did a really good job of sort of breaking it down. And she really concentrated on 3 people. She concentrated on Ron Logan, she concentrated on Kagan Klein, and she concentrated on Richard Allen. So she's like, all right, so let's look at them individually. First, she looked at Ron Logan, and because of his age and some other factors, she said, I really wouldn't put him in the bucket. We're not going to take him totally out of the bucket, but we'll just put him aside.
Yeah, she kind of profiled almost, yeah.
So she's like, possible but not likely, so she put him aside. Then she got into Kagan Klein, and again, she put him aside. And then when she got to Richard Allen, she's like, he does not have a record. He doesn't have anything in his past. He has nothing pointing to having this.
And let me put the disclaimer out that does not necessarily mean something. because he could have committed offenses and gotten away with it.
Right.
So we don't really know, but I have to say that, you know, if you're going to be a career criminal, by the time you're 45, which he would have been around 45 when these murders were committed, you would have had something, even if it was like a B&E or, you know, domestic battery, or you got in a bar fight, or, you know, something like that. But he has nothing. So, I mean, that would, but, you know, that doesn't mean he didn't do something and not get caught. You know, you never know.
So she basically was saying that of these 3 individuals, she doesn't think any of them are the ones that did it. So she's thinking that there's other characters out there that would be responsible.
Well, the original FBI profile said it was a ritualistic.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there was nothing earth-shattering in it. There was no new information at all. But if you want to get a nice, just sort of layout of the timeline, and it can, you know, it shows you the area,
panoramic views.
You're getting interviews of the of people that knew
the girls.
It was good. It was a little long. I don't think they needed to make it 2 hours, to be honest with you. But it wasn't bad. I think they did a good job. But it is definitely.
It's definitely a clear narrative.
Yeah.
The narrative is clear.
And their narrative is
it's
that
not
you have
middle
the
of the
wrong
road.
guy.
No, but nothing has been middle of the road.
No,
in this case.
nothing in this case has.
Except for, you know, the one time that Court TV had Bob Mata and the murder sheet on at the same time. That was like, is about as middle of the road as you got.
Yeah.
But then that was more like bipolar type of thing.
Now I'm going to throw this out to you guys. I would love to hear any information that you might have. Mary had shown me a video about a theory. And originally, when I was thinking about it, like, okay, this theory, I mean, it's good in the sense that it would make sense. But then after thinking about it more, it doesn't make any sense unless I can tie something together with it. So apparently, we all remember Brad Holder was one of the first people interviewed. He was one of the ones that was interviewed, and those tapes were erased or taped over or whatever happened. The videos were lost. So those confessions.
But they weren't evidence, according to Nick McClelland, from what we just saw
so
on WTHR. So there you go.
So apparently Brad Holder was a Mason, a master Mason, as is Nick McClelland. And apparently they are seen in photos together at the lodge together. But that's all well and good, but that doesn't make any sense because Nick McClelland was not the prosecutor at the time when these murders happened. He was not the prosecutor when Brad Holder was being interviewed, and then just, you know, said you're cleared, free to go. So I need to see if I can tie somebody else within the investigation at the time to the Masonic Lodge, whether it be Robert Ives, the original prosecutor, the sheriff, somebody within the Indiana State Police, and I did some research today. I couldn't find anything confirming, denying that at all. But I thought it was an interesting theory. It could explain why Brad Holder was sort of, you know, cleared right away.
You can't get in touch with the Grand Poobah?
I cannot get in touch with the Grand Poobah, no. No, I cannot.
So this is probably going to be our last video about Delphi for a while, unless something major breaks.
Yeah, unless something breaks.
I think we've covered everything we can. We've talked about both sides. You know, like I said, if you want to know more about the girls, I think that video was excellent for that.
Yeah, it was.
Everything else is probably going to be, if you're into the case like we are, everything is probably going to be stuff you already knew.
Yeah, there was nothing new. There was absolutely nothing new in that.
Please send us your information. I've gotten some great information from our viewers. I've really appreciated it. I love interacting with you in the comments. Please hit the like button, subscribe, sign up for notifications, tell your family, tell your friends. We're trying to get to our goal of 500 subscribers. I know that sounds really sad, but you have to start somewhere.
Yeah, start somewhere. And we haven't even been doing this too much yet.
Yeah, and we're trying to present both sides of the narrative, and we don't know. We have no idea. I mean, like I said, you know, I'm done. I need a break from the Delphi rabbit holes. So I'm trying to focus on stuff where I could actually get information.
It's like whack-a-mole.
Yes, exactly.
Just something else pops up, and you gotta hit that, and something else pops up.
It's just crazy. And Lord knows my forensic students are so sick of hearing me talk about it. Today I'm like, watch the CW show and come and talk to me for extra credit on Monday. Like, like they're over it. So I think I'm going to take a break.
Yep.
Unless you send me something, and then I'll go down a new rabbit hole. So
yeah, unless we come up with something new, something else breaks. Right now it just seems to be a lot of legal back and forth between the attorneys, and I think that's going to probably be ongoing throughout the spring and summer.
we're keeping our fingers crossed that this does go to trial as scheduled now, because now we're all the way. Now we're pushing it out to October, but time that's going to come fast. So hopefully by October, they're ready to rock and roll, and Richard Allen is going to get his trial, and the girls are going to hopefully get their justice if Richard Allen is the guy. And like I said, if you know anything about the cat hair, please send that to us, because like I said, the Daily Mail, it's not like a local news station type of thing. So.
And if you know anything about that Masonic connection, please let us know as well. I found it interesting. I think it has some possibilities, but there really needs to be a lot of connecting the dots on that one. And so far, there is no dot connecting.
And I've loved interacting with you guys. You guys are the best. We have awesome subscribers, awesome comments on our page, and it's just buoying us to want to put out more content, do more research, and take more time. So, and talk about more wine.
Yes.
So here we go.
Montezuma Winery up in the Finger Lakes, Mary's favorite winery up there. We go every time. That's our first stop every time we go up to the Finger Lakes. It's way up at the top, but it is well worth the trip. It's a great little tasting room. They have fantastic fudge, the best fudge.
Yes. Oh, and all kinds of flavors, Rocky Road
Yeah.
and all that.
They have tons of flavors.
Oh, and if you're interested in wine, by the way, if you go down to our older videos, we have lots of videos about wine.
Yes.
So you can actually watch our old
Yes.
videos if
Before
you're into wine and not crime.
Yep. Before the
So-
pandemic, we did wine videos, and we visited wineries and
Right.
different wine events, and we have all those videos down there. So if you just want to laugh at us for a little bit, because they are pretty hokey and.
And when the weather gets nice, we're actually going to start filming at some of the wineries.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll get to see some of the wineries that we go to, because we have cabin fever and we can't wait to get out. But
Oh,
the
can't
weather,
wait, yes.
The weather here in the Poconos just stinks, so
Yeah.
we're staying in until it gets nicer.
Yep, absolutely. All right, well, until next time.
We're the True Crime and Wine Couple. Like, subscribe, comment, sign up for notifications. Get us to our 500 subscribers. Get us to our lofty goal.
See you next time.